to the Planet Rock Podcast, the hottest show in the cosmos. Get ready for insight and inspiration right here on Planet Rock with your special guest, Kaysia Earley, and your cosmic guide through our ever-changing space and time. I'm your host, Raquel Herring. Welcome to the Planet Rock Podcast, your go-to spot for all things relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's twists and turns. From the depths of dating and marital dynamics to the heights of spiritual journeys, entrepreneurship, money, pets, plants, we explore every facet of human connection. I'm Raquel Herring, your cosmic companion on this wild ride called life. Each episode of Planet Rock is packed with insights and inspiration to help you thrive in this ever-changing world. From heartwarming stories to candid conversations, we're here to empower you and uplift your spirits. Tune in every Thursday at noon on envision-radio.com for some real talk, real people goodness. And don't forget to catch the video replay on YouTube every Saturday at 11 a.m. or sometime during the day. No, I'm just kidding. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell and stay updated with our latest episodes. Follow me on social media for updates and swing by my website at raquelherring.com to stay connected. So grab your headphones, settle in, and let's rock your world one relationship at a time right here on Planet Rock. Hey, Planet Rock listeners, it's Raquel Herring. Did you know I was the first Afro-Latina Mouseketeer on Disney Channel's all-new Mickey Mouse Club with artists like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake? Now I'm excited to share my powerful memoir, Falling Up, The Unstoppable Journey of a Tear. Falling Up is more than just a celebrity memoir. It's a story of resilience, courage, and transformation. Discover how I navigated life beyond the glitz and glamour, faced marital ups and downs, and found my true voice. This book offers deep insights into overcoming adversity and finding strength in the face of challenges. Why should you buy Falling Up? Because it's a compelling narrative that delivers inspiration and real-life lessons. If you're looking for motivation, personal growth, and a testament to the power of perseverance, this book is for you. Join me as I take you behind the scenes of fame and into the real world where true courage is tested. Falling Up, The Unstoppable Journey of a Tear is available now on Amazon. Don't miss out on this incredible journey of empowerment and self-discovery. Remember, life's toughest battles often lead to the most beautiful victories. Welcome back. When we speak of relationships, we want to just go deep into all facets of relationships and human connection. That would also include you and the law. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Kaysia Earley, a remarkable individual whose journey from a college graduate facing incarceration to successful attorney and community advocate is nothing short of inspiring. At the age of 21, Kaysia faced a felony charge and a possible 3-year jail sentence while pregnant with her first child. Her experience with an unresponsive public defender and the harsh realities of the criminal justice system ignited a fire within her to become a lawyer and fight for those who could not fight for themselves. After serving her sentence, Kaysia earned her law degree from St. Thomas University and overcame numerous obstacles to prove her rehabilitation to the Florida bar. Now, as a practicing attorney with over 100 trials and 250 dismissals under her belt, Kaysia is known for her relentless work ethic and dedication to her clients. She has been recognized as Broward County's Women of Tomorrow 2022 Mentor of the Year and has consistently been listed in the National Black Lawyers Top 40 Under 40. Kaysia's story is one of redemption, resilience, and unwavering commitment to justice. She also ran for judicial seat when the mission I'm so sorry. She also ran for the judicial seat with a mission to address the racial disparities in the criminal justice system and to serve as a light of hope for those caught in its grips. So join us right now as we discuss her inspiring journey, her vision for a fairer judicial system, and the power of her story. We are privileged to have you, Kaysia. Thank you so much for coming on the show and being a resident attorney here. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It is absolutely a pleasure to be on your program, to share my platform, and I am honored to be here today.
Thank you. Now tell us about you, Kaysia Earley, and your early aspirations. I just want to hear about that powerful woman that you are and how you grew up, where you grew up, and yes, all your early aspirations. Okay.
No pun intended, right? So my last name is Early.
Yes.
God has been good to me. I've come from humble beginnings. My father, he had 8 children. He left my mother when I was 8 years old, and we struggled growing up. I grew up in the Alapata neighborhood on 12th Avenue near Jackson Memorial Hospital. We grew up very poor. My mother did the best that she could, considering she could not navigate, the social system to get the proper food stamps or even cash benefits. And because she didn't know how to navigate that sector, she relied on her minimum wage paying job to take care of all of us. So we grew up in a 2-bedroom duplex. It was a lot of us in one house. And, God is amazing because we can't control how our circumstances are growing up, but we certainly can change that through the power of a relationship with Christ, through education. And that's what really propelled me to my success now. However, it has not been without its trials and tribulations,
Sure.
but everything ultimately worked together for my good.
Amen. Amen.
Mhm.
So tell us, because you overcame like a huge obstacle here for sure, not just growing up, but the incarceration. How
Yeah.
did that even happen?
Well, look, I'll never get tired of telling this story because I realize the more I tell it, I touch different people and they get inspired in different ways.
Mhm.
So, for one, I became the first person in my entire generation to graduate from college. I attended Howard University. But during my senior year, I was working 3 jobs. One of my jobs, I was working at a shoe store. I worked on campus. I worked overnight at a hotel, and I attended school full time. But while I was at the shoe store, I discounted the products, the shoes, to my friends and families, members. But I knew it was against the rules. I knew it was against the policy. What I did not know is that my actions were criminal. I figured, if you get caught, I get fired, no big deal. So
Mhm.
not only was I fired, I was arrested, I was charged. I ended up taking a plea deal because I did not have proper advice and counsel from my lawyer because I didn't have the funds to hire a private attorney.
Mm.
Um, and because the court, in my opinion, did not know or have any mitigating factors, they didn't know that I was pregnant. They didn't know that I was about to graduate from college. All they saw were the allegations, and I'm standing before them as a defendant.
Mhm.
The judge, he sentenced me to a period of incarceration. And I never forget, they had initially remanded me into custody, but as I had the handcuffs on me, I remember that my attorney wasn't really advocating for me. So I spoke up for myself.
Mm.
And I pretty much told the judge, Your Honor, I should be graduating in a few weeks. Please let me walk across the stage and I'll
Mhm.
turn myself in. And thankfully, he allowed me to turn myself in, but I was really at a crossroads. I literally traded in my cap and gown. I had just graduated from Howard with a BA in political science for a jailhouse jumpsuit. And I just really experienced that in solitary confinement.
Wow. That is mind blowing. First of all, how were you going to school full time with 3 jobs?
Yes. You know, I didn't sleep. and I didn't sleep because I worked a graveyard shift. So I would sleep in 2-hour increments, and I would get off of my graveyard shift at 7 a.m. And then my class started at 8 a.m. And I would go to class. In between classes, I would work my second job, which was the on-campus work study. And then in between that, I would go to my afternoon job on the weekends and work at the shoe store. So I was just constantly, it was work, school, sleep when I could. And I had to do it because my mom, she didn't have the money. And I knew that if I took a break, I would not go back to school. So I had to do it by any means necessary. And I got it done.
Yeah, you did. How did like being incarcerated and being pregnant, how did that shape your perspective of this criminal justice system?
Well, I knew I always wanted to be a lawyer. I did not know at the time what type of lawyer. I just knew that lawyers made money. So I just wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
During my time of incarceration, it was a defining moment in my life. First and foremost, being pregnant, they had to isolate me from general population, not for punishment, but so that I could be protected from potential fights and for safety purposes. But for me, it was punishment because when you're in jail, first and foremost, it makes time go by faster if you could talk and interact and share your commentary. And I wasn't able to do that. So being in solitary confinement, not only was I in a cell by myself, I was in the cell 23 hours out of the day. You get 1 hour for what they call rec. And rec is just getting out of your jail cell into another cell, but I'm still not interacting with general population. You get out to, let's say, take a shower or walk around. So sometimes I didn't even get out of there. I fell into, I don't want to call it a depression, or maybe I didn't define it as that, but I was sad, being pregnant, being a young mother, having this life inside of me, feeling like a failure. Like when I tell you, I felt like nothing. I felt worthless. And in my lowest point, the Spirit of the Lord met me in my jail cell. And this is what really propelled me to my success. The Lord met me in my jail cell, and he gave me a promise. Essentially, it was, Kaysia, dedicate your life back to me upon your release, and you'll be a lawyer. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, am I hallucinating right now? And so I decided to hold on to the promises of God, hold on to that vision that I saw in my jail cell. As the story goes, 20 years later, not only have I been named one of the top attorneys in South Florida, a top 10, top 40 under 40. I have had a successful career. And you don't see that a lot because you don't really see a person who used to be on the other side of the criminal justice system advocating for those who was once in a position where I was. So I literally lawyer from the heart.
Wow. How long were you there inside? Yeah.
So I was facing 3 years in prison.
Okay.
Thankfully, I was given a 30-day sentence and 3 years probation. Had I violated the terms and conditions of my probation, I would have to serve the full 3 years. So even in the midst of my troubles, God had mercy on me because before they transferred me out of general population into solitary confinement, I interacted with someone else who was pregnant, and she was serving a year sentence for a similar crime that I did.
Oh, wow.
And I felt so grateful because, we were both pregnant, and she was saying how she's going to have her baby and come back into custody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so God really favored me and held back the hand of punishment even when I deserved it.
Wow. I don't know. That is so much. My gosh, I can't even imagine how you must have felt. I mean, just my heart alone is like, oh my gosh, and terror, just heartbroken and terror. So you heard from the Lord. He said, you're going to be an attorney. This is going to happen. Dedicate your life back to me. We're going to do it. Right. So when you came out, what did you do? Like, what were your actions from there?
I literally dedicated my life back to Christ. See, I grew up in a church. After my dad left my mother, she was, I think, 36 years old with 7 children at the time.
Wow.
So she took us to church. So all I remember was going to church. But when I went to college, remember, I'm working all of these jobs. I'm going to school. I don't have time for church. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time to read my word. So I kind of deviated from my relationship with Christ. So when I got out, not only did I get baptized, my boyfriend at the time, who actually dropped me off to jail, who's my husband now, we'll be coming up on our 20th anniversary.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, go ahead.
So,
praise God.
Praise him. Come on.
Yes.
So I got out, we got baptized, we got married, and I'm like, okay, God, you said I'll be a lawyer. What's up?
Yeah.
2 years goes by. I'm still working as a paralegal, still holding on to God's promises, studying for the LSAT, can't pass it for nothing. 7 years go by, and I take the LSAT again. The LSAT is an admissions examination, and based on your score is how you get accepted into law school. So in the 7th year, I take the LSAT. I finally get a high enough score. And at this time, we're living in DC. So we moved from Maryland to Florida because I got accepted with a scholarship to St. Thomas. So that's how we came back. And look at this full circle moment, because remember, I was raised in Florida, raised in the inner city, went to college in DC, and now I'm coming back. And I chose to apply to law school down here because I wanted to serve the same community that I left, to show them that no matter what your circumstances in life are, you can grow up in the inner city, you can grow up in a broken home, you could even be incarcerated. There's no excuses. And this is why I really truly believe that my story is a story of redemption, because every statistical tribulation and trial that should have stopped me, could have stopped me, didn't stop me. And I'm using my life circumstances to pour back in the very community that I was raised in. And I will continue to show that you have to have the willpower, determination to not allow life circumstances to stop you from reaching your destination.
Yes. Oh, incredible. What was your focus while earning your law degree? What was the focus, like, even during all the challenges that I'm sure came against you getting your degree? Because I'm sure, you 7 years, the LSTAT, now you're in law school. I'm sure there's like some real studying having to go on now. So what are those challenges, and how did you stay focused and say, I'm going to persevere through this?
Yeah, there were greater challenges for law school, because remember, I kept on holding on to that promise that I got in jail. And when I applied to law school, before they allowed me to register for my classes, they gave me a warning. They said, you went to jail before, and you went to jail for a crime of dishonesty involving fraud. So if we accept you, if you go to class, even if you graduate, there's not a guarantee that you'll be able to practice law, because after you graduate and pass the bar, you still have to go to the Florida board and convince them that you've been rehabilitated. So before you incur all of this debt, are you willing to take that risk? And I'm like, yeah, I am. Because in my head, I'm like, I know what I heard, I know what I saw, and I know the promise of God. Yeah. And that was a determining factor, because if we serve a God that cannot lie, and I go to law school and the board does not accept me, something's wrong here, right? So I held on to the promise of God. Now, by this time, I had 3 children. So not only am I going to law school, I had to be a mother to the 3 children. I'm still married. And by the way, I'm still working a full-time job and going to law school full-time.
Oh my God.
So I tell you, it was, and I doubled up on classes because I wanted to graduate early. So I graduated from law school early. So it was a lot of reading, sacrifice. My youngest daughter at the time was 3 months old. I had 3 children. And then while walking across the stage for law school, I was pregnant with my 4th child. So
whoa,
I know. Look, I think I just love a good challenge. That's what it is.
I think that's true. That's true.
So let me tell you a quick story. When we talk about perseverance, as I was sitting for the bar, now the bar exam is a 2-day, 6-hour each day examination so that you can be sworn into the bar. Okay. I was 3 weeks before my due date for my 4th child. In between taking an examination, I'm contracting. I'm like, oh, the paramedics are sitting in front of me. I had to give them a thumbs up if that was contraction, or if I did this, they would have hauled my behind off.
Oh my goodness.
To the hospital. So when I tell you, I was like, I don't care how bad them contractions are. Every time I had one, I was like this. I'm good.
I'm good. No problems. I'm good.
Right. So I think about all of this.
Wow.
Oh my God, I made it. I did it. And it makes the victory so much sweeter when you
Yes.
have so many challenges. I appreciate everything. That's why I go hard for my clients.
Wow. I believe that. My goodness. Yes, you like challenges and you are knocking them down like boof. Like they nothing. Look at, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Wow. Since being an attorney, how okay, wait. Once you graduated, you told them, look, I'm in it to win it. That's just how it's gonna be, right? You're in there, you passed this, you got your scores, you like, I'm in. What is like the first thing that you do?
First off, shout out to you because I love how you're just asking these questions in chronological order. Sis is getting the story out to the viewers, okay? I love it. Okay. So, so I go before the board. Now, by this time, I graduated, I passed the bar. I go before the board. It was 5 people, and for 3 hours, they grilled me. And I had to convince them that I was rehabilitated. I wasn't the same person. I'm not a thief. I'm not a crook. I made a bad decision in life. So after they grilled me, I had to wait a few weeks to get their decision. And that was the longest few weeks ever. But thankfully, God touched their hearts and they allowed me to be sworn in. So this September will be 10 years that I have been practicing law. And it'll be 20 years, October 30th will be 20 years that I went from being that little girl incarcerated to being a top attorney. Now, when God shows off in your life, he shows out.
Yes.
That's the type of God I serve.
Amen. Oh
Man.
my gosh. Woo! It's just an incredible story. I'm loving this, man. Oh my gosh. Everybody should just be so encouraged. I know I am, because now I'm like, man, I need to be doing stuff. I need to be doing more. That's more I need to be doing.
Busy. Stay busy. Listen, they always say an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So maybe this is why I stay busy, because I'm not trying to get caught up anymore.
I hear that. Since being an attorney, what has been like the most rewarding aspect of your career as a defense attorney? Because that's what you practice.
So criminal defense, first and foremost, is the hardest area of practice, hands down, right? First of all, if we lose, our clients can go to jail for the rest of their lives. So I take that role very seriously. The most rewarding part of practicing criminal defense is when the jurors walk out of that deliberation room and they stand before us and they recite these words: "We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all."
Yes.
I live for that moment. Woo. I live for that moment because not only does it show me that even being a Black female in a white male-dominated profession with a white judge, a white prosecutor, the majority of the jury is white, I still got it right. And I fought for my client and got the best results.
Yes.
That's the highlight of my day.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Is there any particular case like that's like really memorable for you that reinforced your commitment to, fighting for justice?
Yes. I just got out of a 2-week murder trial. And this particular murder was caught on camera. Oh. And I remember people were saying, "You're crazy. Why are you taking this case to trial?" Like, it was caught in 4K across from the neighbor's ring camera. And in my mind, first of all, I'm not going to explain my theory of defense in the court of public opinion. I'm going to explain it before the juries that matter. And this is why you have to be strong in your affirmation and strong in your position. And I knew that I had a defense, and my defense was self-defense. And my client, thankfully, was found not guilty of first-degree murder and second-degree murder. Had he been found guilty, he would have been serving the rest of his life. And in Florida, life is, you're leaving out in a casket. You're leaving out in a box. Life is not 25 years like other states. Yeah. So it was rewarding and reassuring to me that, Kaysia, you did that. not through your own strength, but through the wisdom of Christ, through
Yeah.
allow him to use you. And I really believe, like, being a lawyer and
Yes.
previously incarcerated, I lawyer differently.
Okay.
And you can't buy this. You can't be taught this type of affection and zealous advocacy that I have, because I just transform when I'm in front of the jury, because I remember how I felt, how I was treated in jail, and that I'm fighting for my client not to be there. So it's an emotional roller coaster, but it's worth it.
Wow. Well, when they say that, God take those things that, they seem bad, but they're for our good. It seems like on your journey, like that was your journey. Like you had to experience that to become the lawyer he wanted you to be, It
You're
wasn't
so
about,
right.
I'm sorry.
You're so right. You're so right. That's Romans 8:28. For we
Yes.
know this, that all things work together for the good for those that love God and who are called according to his purpose.
Yes.
And all things, it will work together for our good, but we have to answer the call. Because sometimes we say to ourselves, man, why does this happen? Why did this happen? Of course, I would have loved to be born with this golden spoon in my mouth and
Sure.
had the riches. But, God knew, no, Kaysia, this is not your walk. I called you to be great. I called you to be resilient, but you have to go through the fire and trust me as you're walking through the heat, as you're being, refined.
Yes.
And it's also humbling. You know why? Because no matter how great I become, no matter how many awards I'm given, I remember pride comes before a fall. And I was prideful when I graduated. And I even promised God, I said, God, if you get me out of here, I will never, be so prideful again. So this is why I remain humble. No one defines me but my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. No amount of name brand clothing, no matter how much money is in my bank, that doesn't define me, because we came here with nothing and we're going to leave as such.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. Wow. How has it been challenging to navigate being in this law profession as a Black woman?
Go there. Thank
How?
you for that question. Thank you. So we're going to keep it all the way real, because
Please.
I'm a proponent and advocate for diversity on the bench, diversity in the criminal justice system. I've seen so much injustice, so much unethical behavior on the part of prosecutors who have the power to prosecute a case or drop it if they don't have sufficient evidence. And I have to fight every day to uphold the scales of justice. We see that the scales are supposed to be equal, but we know that the statistics prove that they're not. Black African Americans are disproportionately stopped, apprehended, charged, convicted, sentenced amongst white people. And the reason that's so, because of officers, where it first starts at. And then you have prosecutors who should be ethical and say, you know what, this is not right. You have prosecutors hiding evidence. It's so much injustice. And then being a double minority in a white male dominated profession, Black females make up less than 4% of attorneys. So even with all of my accolades, all of my awards, knowing that I have proven myself to be one of the top attorneys in Florida, I can still walk into a courtroom dressed like an attorney, but they'll presume that I am the court reporter, the secretary, the assistant, but you won't presume that I am the attorney, let alone the owner of my law firm, because of your ignorance and of your preconceived notions. So there is a challenge. And also, talk about our Black females, we need to be better representations for them. Beauty, it's great to be beautiful, but it's even better to be smart and to have that combination. And I mentor Women of Tomorrow, 25 girls every year, and I talk to them about the importance of not only securing an education, but not utilizing your body, and the importance of being careful with social media, because all of that comes back to haunt you one day. So my goal is to increase diversity within a criminal justice system so that it can truly be all men are created equal and not favoritism based on your race.
Right. So now, many times I see on social media where a lot of perhaps Black men, maybe Black women, say that this doesn't exist. the racism, this feeling like, it's just excuses Black people are making, that none of this is really happening. And if you keep talking about it, that's the reason it keeps happening, because you keep talking about it. What do you say to that?
The reason why certain nationalities or races don't want us to talk about racism and slavery and civil rights or the pre-civil rights era is because they're reminded of their ugly past. Not only does racism exist, it's just it's not as in your face, right? But it exists. I want people to read. I'm reading the last book I read. It was called The Red Record by Ida B. Wells Barnett. And it was a tabulation of statistical lynchings in the United States, of how people would just be lynched for no reason. And I recently watched the Emmett Till movie, and you just have to continue to learn your history and become educated. That's why they don't want us to talk about it, because if we forget about it, then we're going to repeat history. So racism is very much alive. And the only way to eradicate hate is through love. And unfortunately, love is not there. The love of Christ is not there. So it's an ongoing problem, and it takes us to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe that. What advice would you give to other women? I want to say minority women, but I'm going to say Black women who want to pursue a career in law at any age. What advice would you give them?
It's never too late. In fact, yesterday I was on the phone with a bank teller. She ran into me from a while ago, and she wanted to go back to school. And she's like, well, I'm about to get married and it's going to be challenging. But what she didn't know was my story. And I was like, well, if I can go to law school with 3 children and a husband and work full time, so can you, and you have no children. Don't you know? So when I told her that, she was like, oh my gosh, your plate was, much more fuller than mine. And if you can do it, I can do it. So my advice is, it is never too late. If you have the will, it's best to try and fail, so to speak, than not try and live with regrets.
Yeah.
Because the formula to success is failure. How do you know you're going to win? How do you know if that's for you if you don't try? But fear paralyzes success. Yeah. And you can do whatever you aspire to do. 2 years ago, I ran for judge. I didn't know that I was capable of doing that, but I just did it because I wanted to be the change that I spoke about, and I knew that I was qualified. I was shy of 300 votes, but 115,000 people in Broward County voted, even knowing my story of my past incarceration.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. How encouraging, right? So you ran for the judicial seat. What was the platform? What were your polarized issues of how you were going to bring some hope, some changes to this system in Broward County?
My platform was justice from both sides of the criminal justice system.
Okay,
because I believe that what is lacking in Broward County, first and foremost, is diversity. There's 90 judges, and at the time that I was running, there were only 9 or 10 Blacks out of 90. Come on. Wow. Now. So you cannot, the numbers don't lie. So my main platform was diversity, but also justice, having empathy, not sympathy. There's a difference, because I believe that when you're in a position of power, you have to have a heart. You can't lead with an iron fist, because when you do that, we all sin and fall short of God's glory. And I believed at the time that, I had a different perspective. So I wasn't going to be soft on crime, but I would have that empathy to understand, wait a minute, you grew up in a single parent household, and you grew up without a father in your household, or you were previously incarcerated and you messed up again. Maybe I have to couple, having punishment with some sort of rehabilitative programs and just having a unique perspective. So I did believe that I was the best candidate for the job. But the problem, in my opinion, is that we have a problem because the fact that we have to tell people to vote for something that our ancestors fought and died for is concerning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, during the election, I believe only 36 or 26% of the population voted. So it was heartbreaking to know that people fought for the right that we don't even care about. So
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to educate my community about the importance of voting, not
Yeah.
just for the presidential elections, because
Right.
that doesn't affect you directly. What
Right.
affects you are the local
Local
elections,
government. Yeah.
commissioners, judges,
Yeah.
sheriffs. This is what we need to have our vote on a consistent basis in our community.
Can you tell us how does it, because maybe that's what people maybe here they'll understand, like you said, the commissioner, the judges, the sheriff, like how does that affect us, that we need to get out and vote for those positions? In what way do they affect us so we really understand why it is important?
There's a direct effect. For example, whatever city you live in, it's there's delegates for that city. That
Right.
those delegates are your commissioners, your state representatives, and those state representatives, they get a budget that directly affects your particular city. So if you vote in the wrong delegates or you vote in the wrong representatives, those representatives can spend millions of dollars, let's say, on a concert for your community versus millions of dollars on pouring it back into the education system. So whenever they're up for re-election, you always want to know what their platform is. I mean, we have the resources at our fingertips. All you have to do is Google their first and last name. There's a website that's going to pop up and find out what is important to them and go beyond their website, because that's self-reporting. Do your research about these candidates. Even if you're at the ballot and you didn't get a chance to do your research, you take your phone and each name, before you bubble it in, just do a quick Google search. We have to educate ourselves to show ourselves approved. So, we have to be sure that that direct effect is not detrimental, not only to us, because we have to be other people centered, but to our future generations.
I love this conversation. I am so happy we had it. I'm so happy. What are other pressing issues? Like, so now when you look at the whole like aspect of everything that's going on, and we know diversity, we have this disparity between, real justice. What are like the pressing issues that need to be addressed?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that, and here's why.
Okay.
Close to 8 years ago, I started the TRAPS card. So basically what it is, these are your basic constitutional rights. And I have it this size because you're supposed to put it in your visor, and then when you get pulled over, you pull it down, you read from them, but the goal is to have it up here. And I created this card because I noticed that sometimes there would be a traffic stop, a simple traffic stop, but the defendant would talk themselves into an arrest. And that's simply because they didn't know their legal rights. So there's 5 basic legal rights that all civilians have that they must exercise during a traffic stop. Now, why traffic stops? Because a traffic stop is the easiest way law enforcement can pull you over and arrest you without a warrant. So it's real simple. We're trying to keep them away from the traps. TRAPS. T stands for don't get tricked. An officer will legally lie to you to obtain incriminated information. So be wise. R stands for be respectful. Arguing on the side of the road is not a place where you want to be because a dead man can't talk. A stands for you have the right to a free attorney. There is no reason why you should be answering questions outside of identifying yourself to a law enforcement officer. Anything beyond that, you say, officer, I wish to remain silent. I would like to hire an attorney. P stands for never give permission for an officer to search your house, your car, or your belongings. But you just can't say, don't search me. You have to utilize legal terminology. So you have to say, I do not consent. And last but not least, silence is golden. Do not speak to law enforcement. Do not go into that interrogation room. Do not have a conversation with them. Say, I wish to remain silent. I invoke my Fifth Amendment constitutional right. So everything is right here. And I actually, for all of your viewers, all they have to do is reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, request it, and you'll get as many free trap cards as you like as a special for your show.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. I want to go over the traps again.
Come on.
Because I'm watching on TV and I see like these courtroom shows and stuff. Yes. Thank you. And we're going to put it up there. Yes. And we see like all these different things that, people talking. Soon as they get arrested, they're in that interrogation room and they just talking away. But, the officers, they're still, they're trying to be like they're your friend or whatever. And of course, people get locked up. But it's like, why are you talking? So if someone's in that position, first we got to avoid the trap.
Right.
Repeat the T again. Don't get tricked. Now,
don't get tricked.
This is an example of how officers use this trickery to trick you.
Of course. So they'll say, a traffic stop is the simplest way. So they'll approach you. They'll say license and registration. Okay. You give them the license and registration. Now they'll say, do you know why I pulled you over? They want you to say something. Normally they'll say, oh, well, I was late for work. Well, late insinuates that you were speeding because you're trying to get to work on time. So all they need for you to say is you were late for work. So if they give you a speeding ticket and you go to court, the officer's going to tell the judge, well, she said she was late for work. Now the judge is going to insinuate late for work, pulled over, you were speeding. So it's those little things, or even the way they trick you. They may say, hey, let me search your vehicle. No, I don't consent to the search. Oh, well, if you don't have nothing to hide, you will let me search your vehicle. You don't want him searching your vehicle. Because how do you know that that's not a rogue cop, an unethical cop that's going to plant some drugs in your vehicle? That's a mind game that they want to play. So in response, you say, you're absolutely right. I have nothing to hide. So you get a warrant and you can search my vehicle. So we have to utilize wisdom when law enforcement officers approach us, but we can't walk in fear, because the moment you walk in fear, you're going to be a paralyzed robot and you're going to do whatever they tell you to do. And you're just going to disregard your constitutional rights. And we're not going to give up the fight. We're not going to give up our rights. It's all there for you. You must learn your legal rights.
That is so true, because I know right now I will be scared. The moment they start saying something, I'm just like, But like you say, it's important to know your rights, because then that takes down that fear level. Like, you may still have the fear, but you have something to stand on that's supposed to work for you. You can stand on it.
And it's all a part of the delivery, right? I've gotten pulled over for speeding a couple of times, and I'm a lawyer and I cross-examine cops on a daily basis. And when I'm in court, that's my stage, that's my authority. You're going to answer my question. Right. But honestly, do I get fearful on the side of the road? Yes. I'm a female. We know what we see on the media. So I don't know if this is going to be my last day, but I maintain, I'm calm, and I know my rights. And you're not going to do that. You're not going to search my vehicle. Now, someone may say, well, what if they search it anyway? What if I do everything I'm supposed to do and they search my vehicle anyway? There's a way around that. You let them search it. You let them search that vehicle, but you know what you do? You tell your lawyer, I told this officer that I did not consent to this search. He searched it anyway. And my job is to file what's called a motion to suppress anything that they found that was incriminating. And once the judge has a formal hearing and sees that not only did you not give this officer permission, that I did my job by filing this motion to suppress, your case or the evidence gets thrown out. No evidence, no case. But see, that's the role of an attorney. But we can't do our job until you do yours first.
Good information. And so, man, this just, I have like cautious questions. Okay. So we got down to, TREAPS, right?
Yes. Yes.
P. P stands for.
So we got the T is for don't get tricked. R, be respectful. A stands for you have the right to a free attorney. P stands for never give permission. So that was the whole searching of your vehicle.
Right.
And then S, these are our trap cards, but see, officers have what's called, they read us our Miranda rights. So they have a Miranda card. And the Miranda rights are, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to a free attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be provided. Knowing your rights, do you want to speak to me? Why do we hear them always say, all right, I'll tell you what happened? No.
Right. I hear this all the time.
Oh, stop it. Y'all be talking yourselves into an arrest, but it's all good. If you want to pay for a private attorney, go ahead and keep talking. If not, take this free legal advice. Keep your mouth shut. Be quiet. Silence is golden. However you can remember it. That S is a full stop. No more talking.
That's on the mouth. That's right.
That's right.
As an attorney. So when it says that you have the right to an attorney, so like you had an attorney and you felt like they did not work for you at all. So now what does one overcome that if they can't afford an attorney, but they still need someone to represent them and say, like you said, no, that evidence is not even whatever that is.
Right.
No.
So here's the thing. I started off as a public defender. There's some good public defenders out there, and there are some lazy public defenders out there because I've worked with some, just keeping it real. I would implore you, whether you have a public defender because you could not hire a private attorney, if you feel that your public defender who has been assigned to your case is not working on your case, doesn't know anything about your case, has not set depositions, has not kept you informed about the progress of your case, there's always someone over someone. So you ask to speak to that public defender's secretary or supervisor, whomever. But the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Ring the alarm. You have to be your own advocate. So that's what you have to do. You have to speak up.
I see. Yeah, that's good. Good information, people. Yes. What do you think are the necessary reforms that will create a more equitable justice system?
There's a few, and it's coming from the perspective of being incarcerated for a felony. Okay. I truly believe that once someone serves their time in jail and has successfully completed all the terms and conditions of probation, it should not be a life sentence. Because the same ones that are pointing fingers, trust me, they have committed crimes. They just have not gotten caught. We all sin and fall short of God's glory. It's always the main ones, the lawmakers who have not gotten caught when they were in college 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, pointing the fingers, making laws so hard that it's a life sentence. I believe that the discretion should go back to the judges. In Florida, for example, there's some laws out here. There's sentence enhancements, meaning that if you commit a crime and it was done with a gun, you have more time. And I know what you all are saying, like, well, if you do the crime, you have to pay the time. Yeah, you're saying that from the outside, but I'm seeing it from the inside, to where sometimes the punishment does not fit the crime. And maybe that person should not be spending 25 years behind bars. There's mandatory sentence requirements that takes away from the judge to have discretion to mitigate it and have a lower sentence. But again, those are on a lawmaker level. So we need more diversity, not only in the courtroom, but outside of the courtroom, so that we won't have these harsh penalties. Because, there's room for redemption, and you're looking at a success story.
Absolutely. Now, you said outside the courtroom. So that would include like community programs.
We need to see what else we can do besides placing defendants behind bars as a form of punishment, because the problem is it will increase recidivism. So what we need to put in place, especially for defendants who, let's say, serve 25 years, is programs, multiple programs or mental health counseling, because we want to reduce recidivism. Because if you just lock someone up, throw away the key, and then when their time is up, you just release them back into society with no training, no education, no job, nothing, they're more inclined to commit crimes. And we're not solving the problem, we're making it worse, because we don't have empathy towards those who have served their time. So, And also we need lawmakers, diversity in the judicial system, in the legislative branch. We need diversity all over so that this can be a fair system for us all. For us all.
Yeah, for us all. And that would be becoming attorneys, being in the commissioner's seat, being in those different local offices.
That's right. Okay. Running. Even if you feel like, you know what, I'm not qualified for this. Who says you're not? You know, who says you're not? You know, even when I ran for judge, I had so many naysayers tell me, you know, you're female, you're not going to do this. You're a minority. They're not going to vote for you. You went to jail before. No, you're too young. It was so many. I'm like, you know what? Silence. I'm going to do me. I'm going to go forward because I know I'm qualified for this. We have to learn how to block out the noise and hear what thus saith the Lord. And when he tells you to go forward. Go forward.
Yes. Are you going to run again?
I do have aspirations to run at this time. I don't know, but let me tell you something. When I run again, the world will know.
I believe that.
I am going to run.
And we're going to tell them over here too.
Hello. Breaking news.
Right. That's right. Breaking news.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
Look, play this clip when I run because it's going to happen and it's going to be done.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, so and let's talk about your contributing to reducing gun violence. That's a big thing for you as well. Yes, a big issue.
Of course. I mean, gun violence, gun safety in the homes, outside of the homes. You know, I have a few murder cases here in South Florida and even in Jacksonville, where right now you have the rival gangs / rappers, and it's a lot dealing with our youth. Wow. And I really believe that we need to focus on our youth. Our youth is going to take over Congress. Our youth is going to take over the judicial system. So we keep ignoring them and not implementing programs and inspiring hope. You know, what type of future do we have? Right. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We need to be other people centered. We have to focus on our future generations. And the way you do that to reduce gun violence is to implement programs. I grew up in a hood. I know what a community center can do. You know, that's what I relied on for my after school snacks. That's what I relied on because we didn't have a television growing up. My mom didn't have the money. We have to pour money into these after school programs, sports, anything to keep our children off the streets, because statistics shows again that gun violence is affecting a lower demographic now than it did 20, 30 years ago, because our youth are being preoccupied in the streets as opposed to programs. So that is one of my desires, is to redirect funds and money to youth development centers. And I'm realizing my heart for the community requires me to be in a position for the community, whether that's in Congress or being a representative, a local representative, because that's the only way that I feel like I can effectuate change and swing the votes closer to diverting funds back into the community.
Yes. You know, it's interesting because you hear a lot of politicians, maybe not so much as one time, that they care about the kids. I guess we hear more pro-life aspects of it. But yet you cut the programs. Like, I don't get that. Yeah. You care about the kids, you want pro-life, but you're willing to impoverish the kid. You're willing to make sure they don't get a proper education. You're willing to make sure they don't eat well. You're willing to make sure that, you know, no programs, no initiatives, but yet you care about the kids.
You know why? It's a disconnect. It's a disconnect in my opinion. Because again, I grew up poor. So when you have these politicians that did not grow up that way, they say what you want to hear just to get into office. Right. But there is no connect. But my heart is connected because I've experienced that. That's why I said, when you're doing your research about some of these politicians, go deeper than their website. Utilize Google to your advantage, because I mean, I've been there, done that as a politician. Even when I ran for judge, I saw them on the campaign trail. I'm like, you're lying. You're telling these people one thing, but behind stage, you're saying something else. Or I know your true character in court. You're a liar. So, you know, it's the only way I know how to be is real. You know, I'm not a polished politician. I just know that what comes from the heart goes to the heart. And I believe that is my formula to success. When I'm talking to the jury, I'm not using big legal terminology to make them say, hey, I'm smart. Right. I'm keeping it real, and I'm letting them know, listen, my client is innocent, and the state did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And here's why. And I just lay it out and I just leave my heart on the podium.
What message do you hope to convey to those who are currently struggling within this justice system?
Hebrews 11:6 sums it up perfectly. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. So when you try to be a people pleaser and pleasing this person, that person, you're going to lose your identity. Look up. So, we got to look to the hills for what's coming with our help. Our help comes from the Lord. Psalm 121 verses 1 and 2. The Lord who made heaven and earth. So when you try and strive to please God, everything else comes into place. But you have to have faith in order to do so, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. So when you're in jail, coming from experience, you don't see hope. When you're in a predicament that seems negative, you don't see the positive, but you have to have faith that you're coming out of it. And as long as you hold on to faith, everything else will fall into place. So my message to anyone that's watching this is, no matter where you're at in life, we serve a God that's the God of the hills and the God of the valleys. Hold on to faith and everything will be all right. That's the message.
Glory to God. Thank you so much, Kaysia, for sharing your powerful story and insights with us today. Oh my gosh, you're so powerful. Your dedication to justice, resilience, and community advocacy is powerful and truly inspiring. And we need more of you. Please tell the people how they can get in touch with you. Please tell us once again how we can get those cards. And I'm just going to let you close it out. And I'm just saying thank you so much for coming on the show. And I look forward to the next time. Go ahead.
Of course. So all you have to do is Google my first and last name, Kaysia Earley, my website, earleylawfirm.com, or my personal website, KaysiaEarley.com, or on all of my social media platforms, my first and last name. Make sure you email me, DM me on social media, and ask for your free trap cards. Teach it to your children, community. God bless you, and let's spread the love and the word of God.
What an awesome show full of insight and inspiration. Thank you to our guests and listeners. Look forward to hearing us next week on envision-radio.com at 12 noon, right here on Planet Rock.